Dragon Ball Daima episode 16 put a lot of things behind us and put an end to a lot of things. The King Kadan forces are not involved anymore. The Tamagami battles are over because the Dragon Balls have been gathered and Gomah's hunt for the third eye is complete. As he ends the episode with it, welcome to my breakdown. We're going to go into the finer things you may have missed from Dragon Ball Daima episode 16 as the final battle of the series has begun. The episode was called Degesu, and early in the episode we see him grabbing baby Dende as he starts crying. This episode revealed that even though Degesu's been playing the part of being Gomah's right-hand man, loyal to his cause, always focusing on him to be the Supreme Demon King, he has his own mission, he has his own ambitions to be the Supreme Demon King himself, just like his sister does. So we have a situation here which is multiple people vying to take the throne of the demon realm. And even those who Gomah thought were closest to him really weren't. The bootleg Ginyu Force shows up as guardians of the temple or of the castle, and they are doing their wacky poses and telling everybody who they are. The Kenpei Tokusatsu. Now, if you want more information on where they got this idea from, Toriyama's history of modeling characters after Japanese toku shows and Super Sentai, check out the previous 2 breakdowns I've done for the past few weeks. We've gone into detail and shown examples of all the different things that Toriyama not only borrowed to make Great Saiyaman, the Ginyu Force, and the predecessors, but all of that sort of comes together here with these guys once again. Same concept, same idea, same satire. It's all sort of rooted in the same thing. They fire upon Vegeta with a bazooka, which Vegeta dodges, but the blast comes back around. This is very similar to some of the previous heat-seeking blasts that we've seen in Dragon Ball. Piccolo did one against Goku in the 23rd tournament, which was infamously, basically avoided by Goku, where he got right in Piccolo's face before the blast hit him. And of course, there's Frieza's, even though his were more telekinetically controlled. Still, Goku tried a very similar strategy on using them on Frieza. This, I think, is more like the Piccolo one than the Frieza one. Nevertheless, it's not going to work because it's just a weak weapon. Of course, the question then, of course, comes to mind, why didn't these guys have the same electrical blasters that the military police used in the previous episode that actually took Goku and Vegeta down a bit more? That was weird. Then we have the modified Gatling gun. This is like a Demon Realm version of what you would call a chain gun, which was probably most famously used by action stars like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s and in the 90s. It's an action movie staple here. And we know how much Toriyama loves those movies. Vegeta then appears right in front and hits him in his good eye, knocking him down. Here comes another one who appears to be an expert on knives and has a gun as well, and he gets blasted away by Vegeta with ease. Vegeta isn't even putting a quarter of his power into these blasts. This bootleg Ginyu Force is, unlike the real Ginyu Force, a complete gag, whereas at least the original Ginyu Force were pretty tough when they first came around, crippling Gohan and Vegeta before Goku showed up to win. But these guys are just nothing. Once these guys realize that, yes, indeed, they actually did beat Majin Buu and the Tamagami, that's when they realize that they have just messed up. This is one of those F around, find out type of situations. And remember, they were warned about this. Gomah told them they may be little kids, but they defeated Majin Buu and the Tamagami, and they laughed it off. They thought it was funny. Well, who has the last laugh now? And yet, they are still stubborn and keep trying to fight our boy Vegeta. And they get humbled by himself. Now, I'm not sure if this is done on purpose or not, because remember, it's difficult to really say if this was a legitimate Easter egg or not, but Vegeta was actually the one that killed the other members of the Ginyu Force. He wasn't the one that defeated every single one of them in battle, but Vegeta killed Recoome, Mr. Guldo, Geese, aka Jace, and Birder, all four of them were killed by Vegeta back in Dragon Ball Z. And if you remember the Dragon Ball Super anime version of the Resurrection F story, which was not written by Toriyama, when Gomah took Captain Ginyu's body, Vegeta killed that character as well. So Vegeta's literally dancing on the bodies of all the members of the Ginyu. These guys, well, if you're going to beat the Ginyu Force, the great value Ginyu Force ain't going to be that much harder. Now, surprisingly enough, the captain actually has an attack. He actually has a, well, I don't want to call it an energy attack because in the demon realm it's all magic, but he's actually got a blast that he has made without a gun. That's impressive, I guess. I'll be honest, these guys, I felt like these guys, if they were going to make a bootleg Ginyu Force, they either should have made them total comedy and given them less screen time, or just not put them in at all, because like I'm not really that into them. Like they were fun a little bit, but there was so much more they could have done, and it probably would have served the plot better if they weren't in it, just because they didn't really add anything to Daima, in my opinion. Now, you may disagree, and if you love them, that's okay. I mean, I'm not here to ruin your good time. I just feel like if you took them out of Daima, it wouldn't have changed anything. The captain ends up hurting himself on the blast, and that all's well that ends well, I guess. The girl that traded her hat for Hibis's belt with the third eye is revealed to be working for Degesu, and Gomah was paying her to do her job. I've seen some comments from people, you know, in the fandom, curious if this is supposed to be Towa from, you know, Dragon Ball Online and Heroes and Xenoverse. It's not. It's a new character just for Daima. She's just a random demon girl. There's nothing that I see at all that makes her... She doesn't even look that much like Towa, to be honest. I think some fans need to accept that we're not going to see Mira and Towa and Daima. Mira and Towa, the closest you're going to get is Glorio and Dr. Orinsu. Like, that's just not happening. In fact, the fact that Heroes got shut down, I'm not sure if we're going to even see Mira and Towa in that many video games going forward. They'll probably keep them around in the card games and probably Xenoverse, but with Super Divers being out in Japan and now Daima kind of taking precedence when it comes to all the demonic stuff, we may not see them again. But whether or not we do, that remains to be seen. This character is not Towa. Goku decides to focus his meditation on trying to detect Dende's energy to find out where in the palace he's at, and he is able to sense him even though he's just a baby. This is because Dende and Goku have known each other for years. There's a familiarity there, and that means that Dende, even though he's not really far away, he's close by, Goku can sense him relatively close. Now, again, understand, if Dende were further away, it would become more difficult, but the familiarity aspect of it is why Goku was able to quickly sense Dende. But I guess his energy wasn't enough for Goku to just teleport to him. You would think that would be what he would do, right? Goku manages to catch Degesu holding baby Dende as he tries to make his escape with one of the planes in the castle. Degesu shows how much of a slime ball he is by pointing a gun right at the baby Dende. Now this goes back a while. The idea of guns being pointed at people in Dragon Ball and in other franchises and in other movies has been around forever. But I think the one that this reminds me the most of is when in Battle of Gods, when Mai has a gun pointed at Trunks. And I remember showing that little clip out of context to some friends of mine. This is years ago when the movie came out. And I said, Dragon Ball's the only show where you have, you know, a kid pointing a gun at another kid. And it's actually not the only show that does that. But, you know, it's much more frequently seen in Japan than it is with Western cartoons. Degesu reveals that he has not seen the Supreme Kai, his older brother, in over 1,000 years. Now, to me, that seems a bit sooner, because if the Supreme Kai left the Demon Realm with Raimus, that would have been millions upon millions of years ago, but we don't have the exact moment as to when the Supreme Kai was established as the actual Universe 7 Kaioshin, along with the other Kaioshin. However, we do know that the battle between Moro and the Kaioshin, specifically the Grand Supreme Kai and the South Supreme Kai, took place approximately 10 million years before this era of Dragon Ball, which means that either Kaioshin, the Supreme Kai that we know of as Nahade, the one that we have here, Degesu's brother, either he didn't become a Supreme Kai until after that, or this is another situation where it's a logic hole and there are, strange continuity errors like this. I can't really say for certain which is which, but I even suspected in my review of this episode that it feels like Degesu and Nahade had not seen each other for much more than just 1,000 years. So that could mean that the Supreme Kai came in to replace another Supreme Kai that had the spot before him. Or it could be that this is a logic hole or an error. Again, with Toriyama sort of playing with the backstory and doing a lot of retcons, you're going to get situations where the anime and manga contradict, or the manga, anime, and guidebooks contradict. And that's why I think that Dragon Ball severely needs a continuity editor, and certainly needed one for this era, to kind of respectfully remind Toriyama of statements made in other media so everything can match up. Now, it is possible that Degesu left the Demon Realm, albeit briefly, and reunited with his brother at some point within 1,000 years, but I feel like with the fact that it's been established that leaving and coming from the Demon Realm through warp is not an easy task, and other sort of context clues, that doesn't appear to be the case. And if it is the case, if they did meet outside the Demon Realm, why was Degesu there? What business would he have had there? It would have taken place at a different part of the timeline than when Majin Buu was killing all the Kais. So again, these are questions that may never get answered, or maybe they will. With Toriyama gone, it's difficult to say if we'll ever get a follow-up to any of this. Degesu reveals that he wants to be the Grand King of the Demon Realm, and then Shin tells him, why would a Glind want that much power? But Degesu makes a great point. He says, you've been in the outside world, and you are a god. Which he is. He is a higher level deity, a god of creation in Universe 7. So he kind of checkmated Shin there. Degesu even says it's in a Glind's nature to seek higher positions. And then when Goku asks him what his job entails, he says he oversees peace and order in the universe. Yeah, right. You got to be a little bit more powerful to really, have that. But you know what? I'll give him credit for this. He did quickly go find Goku and the others when Babidi went to Earth in the Majin Buu arc. So at least he tried then. But there have been so many situations where Frieza has run amok and other characters have just gone nuts. I mean, let's not forget that he himself says he could have beaten Frieza, but yet he allows Frieza to go around and conquer planets and destroy them. And is that peace and order, bro? Like, I don't know. This guy's a counterfeit god, man. He's, like I said during the Dragon Ball Super days, he's not very good at his job. Gomah realizes that Degesu is not on his side. So the poor guy thought he had friends when he really didn't. Glorio uses Hibis's hat to distract Degesu to drop Dende, and then Pansy saves Dende, and then Piccolo comes in with a chop right to the neck. I actually love this frame right here because this is really good art, man. And with that chop, Degesu goes down for the count. I mean, he's done. He is donezo. But you may have missed how poetic this is. If you go all the way back to episode 1, what was the move that Degesu used to knock down Dende? A chop. Great touch. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Gomah is sort of happy because Degesu got taken down, but he's also realizing that all his allies are gone, that he's alone. Here comes the demon girl with the third eye that Degesu asked her to get. And now Gomah's frown got turned upside down. Gomah has finally got what he's wanted, going all the way back to episode 1, the real legendary third eye. We went into detail about the backstory of the third eye in last week's breakdown, so make sure you check that out, because I delved into not only the Abrahamic Judeo-Christian superstition behind the evil eye or the third eye, but also the Eastern version of this. The Eastern philosophy about what the third eye represents, how it ties into folklore, Journey to the West. It's really a deep thing, including how it compares to even other third eye characters, not just in Dragon Ball, but others. So make sure you check out last week's breakdown for complete details on this artifact and the importance of it. They arrive at the Tamagami to get the final Dragon Ball so they can have their wish granted about becoming adults again, but the Tamagami's Dragon Ball is missing. This is, of course, because Majin Buu won it from him several episodes ago. Dr. Arinsu appears to reveal that the first Dragon Ball is theirs, the Demon Realm 1-star ball, and there we have Majin Buu and Buu. So, of course, they're going to have to settle it by all fighting to see who's going to get all 3 of the Dragon Balls. Degesu has tried a number of different tools to get the eye out of the belt, including pliers, clamps, we see screwdrivers, all kinds of different real-world tools, and yes, even a spoon. This part I thought was pretty funny, especially upon second viewing, because it does sort of fit the peel-off nature that is Gomah, but even though he's basically a goofy peel-off, the answer to this is, what would happen if peel-off was actually powerful? That's what we're going to get with Super Gomah when he actually taps into the third eye power. He gets it out with a plunger, and then he asks the demon girl to force the eye into his forehead. There's no magic spell or incantation, it's just stick it into my head. She finally forces it into his head, and thus it begins Gomah's metamorphosis. Something I never noticed until Herms pointed out is how much Gomah, in his base form, before the third eye, resembles Pride Trooper Zoirei. I don't know if this was an accident or if it was just purposely a reference, but I totally forgot about this character until today. This transformation, unlike some of the other ones from people like Frieza and maybe even Cell, is different because he didn't know what to expect. This is kind of like when Bruce Banner becomes the Incredible Hulk, where he's sort of losing control and his energy and his body is just sort of taking control of him. That's what this was. With Frieza and other characters that transform, they were in control of their bodies. They were able to see what they were going to become and know what they were going to become. Here, Gomah's only heard the legend. He doesn't know how it's going to affect him, but we're seeing it here. Gomah's metamorphosis begins as he starts to lose control and gain height and just start to really change. When you look at it from this angle, you would think that Jiren just warped into the series from Dragon Ball Super, because this looks a lot like a Pride Trooper. I mean, a lot. It does beg the question. Remember how in Dragon Ball Super, Jiren revealed that his master was killed by a demon? Was it literally a demon from the demon realm? Is that going to come into play later on in Dragon Ball Super in a future story? Or will it just be forgotten about? I don't know. But the point is that I didn't actually see the transformation, but I was very aware of what this would look like going back months. Obviously, as many of you know, I revealed a lot of inside information about Daima, but one of the things I did not reveal is who the final boss would be and what he would look like. But I knew, and here's a screenshot of me back on Halloween telling a buddy of mine that it looks like a Pride Trooper when he transforms. So, I mean, I knew this. I didn't leak it. So if you see somebody saying that I leaked the whole series, they're just one of these people that live on the internet who don't actually do any research and just hear things from their friend and believe it's true without actually checking. I wonder what else I haven't revealed. You'll find out in the next 4 weeks. But now you know that this is the final boss. In the next couple of weeks on Dragon Ball Daima, we're going to see the incredible power that this third eye gives Gomah. Like I said before, if Dabura had that third eye, he would have destroyed Majin Buu and defeated Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So this third eye is going to amplify his magic power, make him physically stronger, and give him access to new abilities he never had before. And you're going to witness this in the coming weeks here on Dragon Ball Daima, as the stakes actually will go up and you will see an actual threat, an actual dangerous opponent for Goku and the others to face off against, because this is the final boss. And you'll understand why he's the final boss when you see him unleash his power. Next week's episode is called Gomah, but will also feature Goku, Vegeta, and the others battling Majin Buu, Majin Ku. Glorio's in that fight, Piccolo, Orinsu. It's going to be a big battle royale, but Gomah is coming. I think the things people have wanted to see from Dragon Ball Daima, like a huge battle, a big fight with everything on the line, you're going to be getting that here in the final 4 episodes of the series. So I'll be breaking all of that down and doing reviews here on the channel with all of you, and for all of you. Should be a great time for us to witness this great fight. What is it going to take to defeat Gomah? Leave your theories down in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen? And remember to subscribe if you're new, and check out the videos right now on your screen covering not just Daima, but some of my favorite historical videos about Dragon Ball. Take care. See you guys real soon.